You know, there are people that love to play slow, cozy, low-stake games like Animal Crossing, Heartopia, Palia, The Sims. I'm not gonna even mention Stardew Valley because I'm not sure if it's considered low-stake. Trying to complete quests on a deadline or trying to get enough resources in the mine and go back home by 150 is no joke, not for the weak. Anyways, we have cozy games, and then we have the absolute stress-festive games like Binding of Isaac, League of Legends, RimWorld, Oxygen Not Included, or Blood is Zomboid, and so on and so on. Games that kill you literally the second you join the game for the first time or the first 30 times. Games that make you completely accept the fact that you're not gonna win. You'd be grateful to just survive another day. We hate it, we smash our keyboards playing it, we shout, we curse, and yet we can't stop playing them. Today, let's talk about the psychology of digital masochism and why suffering in video games feels so damn good. You know, when I used to play a lot of RimWorld, I came across this phenomenon. I feel like shit when I play in normal mode, aka Cassandra Storyteller, meaning stakes become higher the more established your colony is, bigger raids, more dangerous events, etc. So I feel mentally exhausted. However, the moment I tailored my game to be more chill, aka Phoebe Chillax, to very low or almost zero stakes, I got bored really quickly. The same thing happened with Project Zomboid. I had to play so many hours of the game with no zombie population just to get the feel of the game. But then once I started to understand the game, I need the game to be a little harder each time I play. Like if zombie speed or population are too low, I get no motivation to progress. So through time, playing with sprinters became fun. A lot of people even take on extreme challenges like 16x pops, sprinters only, limited weapon options, winter all year round. So I'm here wondering, are we masochists when it comes to video games? Introducing the psychological theory of benign masochism. Benign masochism is the psychological phenomenon of enjoying initially unpleasant, painful, or frightening experiences because the brain recognizes the body is not in actual danger. These aversive physiological reactions like a racing heartbeat, sweating, or crying are transformed into an enjoyable sense of mastery and excitement. I don't know about you, but sometimes I just like listening to sad music so I could be sad and miserable and cry for a day. It feels good afterwards. To put simply, benign masochism explains that because life is full of unstructured, unfair stress when you have no control over the outcome, punishing games give you structured adversity. The game rules can be brutal, but they can also be predictable. With enough skills, maybe you can beat that boss or finish that challenge. Every time our body experiences pain, anxiety, stress, it releases endorphins to cope with the discomfort. This is why we often feel so relaxed after a good, ugly cry, or the feeling of refreshment after doing an ice-cold plunge. Benign masochism states that the joy comes from safely testing personal limits, overcoming the mind's alarm system, and experiencing a rush of endorphins without real harm. When it comes to video gaming, the sky is the limit. Getting crushed by a game gives our brain a safe sandbox to experience panic, failure, and stress without any real-world consequences. It's emotional catharsis. Everyone and anyone can experience a punishing game to get that rush of adrenaline without having to do free climbing, cave diving, racing, or any other dangerous activity. I try to look up the reason why most gamers love punishing games, and the majority of responses I see are that it feels like a sense of accomplishment when you fail many times and finally beat that boss. Which brings me to my next point, earned dopamine versus cheap dopamine. Now, I'm sure this isn't new information for most people. It's pretty obvious that it is what it is, but if you want to put a name on it, the IKEA effect explains a cognitive bias where people place a disproportionately high value on products they partially create or assemble themselves. To put it simply, we value things significantly more if we have to build or suffer for them. In a typical modern game, you are showered with checkpoints, markers, and easy wins. Dopamine is cheap. In a punishing game, survival itself is a trophy. Dopamine feels much more rewarding because it feels like you truly earned it. You suffer for it. This person asked, why do people like extremely hard video games like Elden Rings? I thought the point of gaming is to have fun. And then the comment said, yes, the point of games is to have fun. And where does the fun in games come from? Fun in games stems from challenge. Imagine playing a football game where the opponent never tries to score or prevent you from scoring. That wouldn't be a football anymore. That's just random. randomly kicking the ball around. Football is fun football when there are two teams playing against each other. Now, if the opposing team is too weak, it's not as fun. If the opposing team is too strong, it's not too fun either. A game to be fun, challenge must be at the right level, not too difficult, not too easy. So why do people like difficult video games? Because different people prefer different levels of challenge. Also, some people are generally better at video games, so they need more of a challenge to stay interested. Almost all games are based around overcoming some sort of challenge or obstacle. Different games simply have different levels of difficulty to cater to different gamer preferences. And finally, while some people see dying 10 times to a boss in games like Souls or Elden Ring as a frustrating difficulty, others see it simply as exploration and solving a puzzle. You fight a boss, you observe its patterns, and you practice to overcome the patterns. That's the fun. Exploring the boss is fun to some people, just like exploring the dungeon in your typical RPG is fun to other people. This is very similar to real life. When everybody wins, then nobody wins. When everyone is special, then no one is special. You get the point. Challenging games are engaging. It sets players into different categories. The casual players who never care to win or complete many achievements. The dedicated ones who keep trying after each failure, even though they probably curse the screen every 3 seconds. We also have the other top 10 or 20% of players that grind for hours, failure after failure, just so they can celebrate for finally beating that boss or to get that sweet 100% achievements. I've noticed that a lot of these punishing games are targeted to a very specific group of gamers, the grinders. This is totally not me. That's why I was never interested in Binding of Isaac. I tried to, but it was just meh. Mugenic, same. RimWorld, it caught my attention for a while until it didn't. I may get back to it, but probably not anytime soon. I do stream 3 times a week, roughly 4 to 6 hours each time, but even then, games are extremely punishing and too grinding to get any achievements are still too much for me to commit to. I'm not gonna AFK all day for months just to get level 99 in all skills, no SRS. I'm not gonna restart the game from the beginning every time I lose to a boss in Mugenics or Binding of Isaac, or most roguelike games. Honestly, that may be the main reason why I'm not into roguelike games or other punishing games. I'm not judging the gamers that do. I understand the thrill and the feeling of great accomplishments afterward. As I've said, you gotta be built differently for it. Whether it's good or bad different, I'll let you be the judge of that. I have had my own experience with certain games that are somewhat difficult in the beginning, you know, when you're still on the learning curve. It made me feel special and proud to be able to survive that long or to finally understand the mechanics of things. So I get it. Certain games are made for certain people. As long as you enjoy it in a somewhat healthy way, then all is good. This person asks, what is the attraction to exceptionally difficult games? This is basically a question for people who enjoy games which are considered to be not just hard but really hard. The creme de la creme of hard. Olympic gold medal in being hard. Things like Ninja Gaiden, Sekiro, etc. As well as that subgroup of indie type games which are designed to be close to impossible. I'm interested in why people play and enjoy these games because I'm as far from this standpoint as it's possible to be. I play easy games. If a game has difficulty settings, I put it on the easiest setting and only ever increase a setting if I can beat it so easily that it gets boring. I think this is because I perceive games as a form of entertainment. And to me anyways, having to attempt a boss fight or level dozens or even hundreds of times isn't entertaining. But obviously it is to some people. And I think it's good that there are games aimed at these people. Basically just hoping to get a discussion on the attraction of these mega difficult games. This person answered, have you seen the movie Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise? He plays a soldier in a war against aliens. Every time he dies, he restarts a day, but he keeps everything he learned. So with every death, he learns something and makes just a little further into the day. This is how I view difficult games. The final boss of Sekiro took me 6 hours, but I enjoyed every second. With every death, I thought, oh, maybe I can do this, or I shouldn't do this. It's that form of incremental progress and learning that I love. At this point, I'd be surprised if I died fighting the final boss. I've practiced him so many times, I just don't get a challenge out of him anymore. I wish everyone could experience this, seeing your persistence get rewarded is one of the best feelings you can experience in a video game because it's tied to your actual growth as a player, not just the character you're playing as. Hope this cleared it up. I fully understand this feeling when you have to spend time to improve your skills, learn more tips and tricks. Completing that final challenge is a truly euphoric feeling. Disastrous Poetry 175 said, difficult with good controls and with a satisfying feeling? Yes, please. Difficult due to poor controls, bad camera, cheap environmental hazards? No thank you. I feel like this is probably why I couldn't enjoy Mutagenics, Binding of Isaac, RimWorld, or most roguelike games that much. I'm not saying that these games are bad design, it's just the odds of you winning are purely random. Random events, random everything, which defeats the purpose of learning to get better at the game. Now you may argue with me that there are synergies and you're gonna blend your next through words so that it's gonna benefit each other. Yeah, but even then, the odds are still somewhat random depending on whatever the game throws at you. At least in Oxygen Not Included, Project Zomboid, or Terraria, it feels more like, yeah, I'm really learning and improving as I go instead of randomly dying for silly RNG. It just feels too much like gambling, and I've never been interested in gambling unless it's Bellagio. I mean, Bellagio is so good, man. Anyways, I know that a lot of people are obsessed with the games that I said I didn't like, which is fine. I respect that. This is my personal preference, and I'm not trying to attack anyone. You do you, and I do me.
What?
Okay, it sounds weird to say it out loud, but you get what I mean, hopefully. I have also noticed that most punishing games are also grindy games. I know SRS isn't a punishing game, but it is a grindy one, and since we're on this topic, let's talk about it for a bit. I promise it does share a lot of similarities. Doran Please said, grinding in games and wondering why you're even playing in the first place. Recently, I had gotten back to old school RuneScape. I played when I was younger and found myself with a bit more time recently. I purchased 2 months of membership and was having fun. Then I read a post on r/2007 Scape Reddit where someone described the game as just an achievement simulator. When you're always working towards some achievement, but the actual gameplay is not always that fun. For example, one of the skills in RuneScape that allows you to run more is called agility, and the primary training method is rooftop training, which consists of just clicking the same spots over and over for hours at a time. I had trained my agility by clicking over and over while watching TV recently, but that post kind of messed up my brain. I was asking myself, why am I even playing? Most of the gameplay is not actually that engaging, but it was the constant progression and achievements. Level up, finishing quests, getting more money, that was triggering the reward center in my brain and enticing me to play more. After I realized that I was taking bathroom breaks at work so I could just do a mundane or repetitive task to make money in the game, birdhouse runs, I seriously questioned why I was playing the game. When all the activities I was doing seemed like pointless, boring grinding. So then I quit cold turkey, haven't logged on in a couple days, cancelled my membership subscription. I definitely still get the itch to play, but after taking a step back and thinking, what's the point of just playing a grinding game to increase your numbers? The urge goes away. Anyone else experience something similar? Ideas966 said, congrats to OP for taking a moment of self-reflection and realizing they weren't enjoying themselves. So many games today are full of addiction mechanics meant to keep you literally addicted to the dopamine injection you get from achievements, i.e. leveling up, numbers going up, doing just one more mission or run or quest to try to get that rare loot drop, etc. A lot of games are also very fun and satisfying on a pure gameplay level, or the social aspect of having a thing to do with friends often also use addiction mechanics, and so it can be really hard to tell the difference. At some point, most people will become bored of the gameplay part, but still feel the need to keep playing to get that fix, even though it gets harder and harder each time. A lot of people also just have fun doing the grind for the grind's sake, which I think is fine as long as they realize that's what they like about the game. If you find yourself bored with the game but unable to quit, try to take a moment and think about why you want to keep playing it and why you enjoy about it. If you don't think you'd have fun without any of the addition mechanics, you should probably consider trying to stop playing the game and move on to something else, like a new game or a new hobby, at least for a while. I personally have grinded certain games before, and then I realized what was even the point. Have you also experienced the same thing? Let me know in the comments below. Like, it was kind of fun to grind in the beginning, but the more you grind, the grindier it becomes, which is so ironic to think about. We cannot discuss punishing games without talking about the emergent storytelling. Emergent storytelling is the phenomenon where narratives are not pre-written but instead unfold organically as players interact with the game's underlying systems, rules, and world. Rather than following a set script, the story is created collaboratively by the player's choices and unscripted in-game events. Games that heavily incorporate emergent storytelling are RimWorld, obviously, Skyrim, Baldur's Gate, Kenshi, etc. Now, I don't know about other games, but I know that RimWorld can be extremely punishing. But it is also insanely entertaining to hear stories about the time someone's colony ran a perfectly fine for 100 days, and then suddenly a favorite character went insane from stress, accidentally ate the rations, and burned the base down. It's good for content and it's also good for human connection, you know? Sharing my experience in RimWorld can be fun, and hearing others share their stories is fun too. Binding of Isaac, although not my type of game, also relies heavily on emergent storytelling. While the game has a defined, tragic underlying narrative, a young boy retreating into a nightmarish fantasy inside a toy chest to escape parental drama and religious drama. Every player's journey through the basement is a distinct, self-contained adventure. Even League of Legends is also a massive engine for emergent storytelling. There can be tons of mini-stories, not just from the champions in-game, but also from the players. Most people, when asked about LOL, they will usually say that they have a love-hate relationship with the game. Honestly, same for most punishing games, because I've heard the same thing about Binding of Isaac, and yet people are still playing and still obsessed. Emergent storytelling games can get very popular because of how much people talk about it. As someone who doesn't even play a lot of these games, I still be very interested in reading players' tragic stories. Tragedy is a recipe for a great story at the end of the day. Alrighty, now let's end the video with a moral of the story. Generally, yeah, if you want to be a masochist when it comes to games, that's totally fine. As I've said, you do you, as long as you don't go around getting angry with other players or your roommates or your family. Games are games, they're not reality, and sometimes it's important to acknowledge that. Walk away from the game for a little while if you find yourself on the verge of having a heart attack because someone in the game did something stupid, or maybe you did something stupid. Just saying. It's 2026 now, and I feel like there's a rise of grindy and punishing games, maybe. Or maybe I'm just projecting because my favorite game, Project Zomboid Build 42, the newest build, is so punishing, it's ridiculous. Everything is nerfed for no freaking reason, and I truly hate it. Anyways, what do you think about the topic? What is the most unfair way a game has ever punished you? Make sure to give the video a like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content. I post once a week on YouTube and I stream 3 times a week on Twitch, playing whatever the hell I'm in the mood to play at the time. Until then, bye bye, and I'll see you later. Bye.